This is the People Class Podcast, the official podcast of the People Class. Show your support at patreon.com/thepeopleclass. Send us a shout out at the People Class on Twitter, and send us your feedback at thepeopleclass@gmail.com. Class is in session. Welcome to another class session of the People Class Podcast. This is your dean in the class of life, or the school of life. This is the Quad, our main show in which I will feature guests and bring a lot more views and opinions other than mine here to the table. So I do hope you enjoy the conversation that happens today. It won't be as structured as the weekly class sessions, but nevertheless, we will cover a variety of topics. That is not going to happen.
Any progressive woman from the Bernie camp would have been play, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that are still even kind of banking on Tulsi if she didn't drop out, but I'm skeptical about her too.
No way that.
Oh, for Biden to endorse her?
President?
No, I'm just talking about the idea. The idea of it.
I don't know if that's going to help him at all. Everyone, here's the crazy thing during the campaign. Everyone forgot Tulsi's a woman of color.
Did they? She looks pretty brown to me, and I know she's from Hawaii. She says aloha.
She's like half Indian. I'm like, why is it when
she does look like
everyone? Yeah, everyone like Kamala. She's the only woman of color in the race. I'm like, Tulsi's right there. And then Elizabeth Warren dropped out. She's like, "There's no more women." I was like, "Tulsi's still in the race."
No, and that goes to show you, man, the way that media has so much influence over this. So, like I said, right, I didn't even know Steyer was running until he dropped, right?
Yeah, but Steyer doesn't mean anything for anybody.
No, I hear you, but I'm just saying, I'm just kind of speaking on the power of media for those who are listening. Who may not be privy to this, but yeah. So throughout the whole primary campaign, and you can speak to this. How many different networks, CNN, NBC, Fox News, et cetera, how many, Washington Post, New York Times, how many of those news articles / editorials, whatever, reports on TV or in the paper did you see in which the headline was mentioned something about the person in second or third place moving up, or they show a picture of the roster minus, say, like Bernie Sanders, right?
Or Andrew Yang.
Yeah, so yeah, like you said,
tons of them. They were never even included. There's that one poll where Andrew Yang was in fourth. If completely skipped them and put Cory Booker up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's silly as all hell. And then you can't even say
it's silly. I think it's by design.
But... No, yeah, it's definitely by design. But then you can't even say you can't even blame basic racism. It is racism that gets Asian people, but you can't just blame blanket racism because then they still went to a black guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's purely establishment and corporatist. That's what it is. That's the chief among that.
Oh yeah, money talks all the way. I do. Obama. Did you ever in your lifetime think that you would see a black man in the White House? No, but he was with the big
specifically
names.
Not a black man named Barack Hussein Obama.
Hussein.
On name alone, it would have been what are we doing?
Yeah, and they freaked out about that quite a bit. I remember that.
Again, that's another testament to see, the world didn't blow up, did it? We all learned a new thing. We can say Obama. It's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
Even after Obama run, I was even saying that man, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Russian president? Not a Russian national, but someone who's second generation.
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
Especially after the Cold War falling, and all these fucking capitalists, they were jerked off all over that. Just like, oh, see, he came over here, escaped communism, and now he's like leader of the free world. So like
Right.
when everyone's freaking out about like all the Russian influence, and like I'm like, who? They manipulate our elections, we manipulate their elections. And I'm like, that person. I'm like, first off, what? You fucking sick bastards. It's just like, it shouldn't we want a more diverse and kind of like represented and like people with different experiences representing our nation?
No, make America great
Is
again.
pull it all in, yeah, like the whole melting pot idea.
No, 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 no. But no, make America great again.
Right,
No,
sorry.
they don't want that. They want to make America great again.
But that's my other point. It's just like, yeah, Putin's a fucking goddamn authoritarian monster.
Yeah, we could
And
have that guy.
yeah, but like, and they say Trump's Putin's puppet, Trump's Putin's puppet. He's a Russian agent. I'm like, first off, Trump's American through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Putin's terrible, but like Trump is very much our creation. And even if he had some help from Putin, he was already a fucking raping, sexist, bigoted asshole long before he got into politics.
Yep, and he and Trump as a classic textbook narcissist has no allegiances to anyone.
He was a Democrat for a while.
Yeah, he was.
Like that's the thing. Like it's not like Trump's a Manchurian candidate. Like people, it basically means it's someone who like says all the right things, is very smooth, obviously, and then does like because they were being influenced or controlled by like darker forces that were always underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Trump ran like a slobby, racist, fucking sexist asshole and won. He didn't run on nice things. He ran on like classist, populist, but like right wing populism.
Yeah.
But like yeah, but it wasn't like he was like, hey, everybody's lovely. I'm just gonna make sure you get peace among the world, and like we're gonna work together. Bridges, not walls. He didn't run on any of that. He ran on like, I'm put up a wall because those dirty raping fucking Mexicans are coming for us. He ran on that, and they voted for him.
He did. What the hell does that tell you about
So blaming
humanity?
that on Putin or Russian influence or anyone's influence on them, that's on us. We voted for that.
We we did. But you once again, God dang it.
We didn't get
What
tricked.
what were your options, man? Like honestly, what are do we really besides Sanders? Were there really any options to begin with? And I think that's the problem.
In 2016 or now?
It's just now.
Now, Elizabeth Warren would have been okay, though. I have problems with how she ran her fucking campaign. Uh, no one else really had a chance besides Sanders and Warren and apparently Biden.
Mm-hmm. And we know Warren was already she's not shy about being cozied up to the corporate interests. And
I mean, Harris could have had the chance if she wasn't who she was. Not a black woman, but specifically a prosecuting corporatist.
mm-hmm.
Like, she took their money. She came out and was like, "Oh, I'm for Medicare for all, but not really. Maybe in 10 years, possibly." I'm like,
No, yeah,
"That's silly."
she messed up by letting all that out at once too
She let it
soon.
slip too early. She should have
Mm-hmm.
waited until she got the nomination
It's like, wait, what?
and then slip on that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Like you're gonna hear now. You're gonna hear talks of even from Bernie. Oh my God, you're gonna hear talks of affordable health care. I think they're really gonna try to kill the Medicare for all, even though we're gonna be, on our level, we're gonna be crying about it. We're gonna be hollering about it. But I think they're gonna try to
which
kill it.
we absolutely should. Just because Bernie's dropping out doesn't mean we drop the issue.
No, no, exactly, and we definitely want to push that point. The fight is not over.
The reason,
Yeah.
in fact, the reason why Bernie, because of these issues, because of Wall Street getting away with fucking war, because of Medicare not being a thing even considered under the ACA.
Mm-hmm.
We created Bernie. Bernie didn't create the movement. We created him. That's it.
Do you think so?
Like Bernie Sanders has been like this political figure since his getting into politics. I'm not saying like we created him, like we manifested him. I'm saying that like he wouldn't be in right now if the fever in the country wasn't resonating with the ideas he's already been in line with the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Occupy Wall Street happened, and a lot of like the diss on that was like it's so unorganized. They don't have a leader. No one's really there's no like central authority behind it. I'm like the the point is these people got away with murder and theft, and like they weren't held accountable,
Mm-hmm.
and like all we had all these issues in society like education and housing, and no one's addressing it. That's what all Occupy Wall Street was about, and it's of
Yeah.
course like student led too. So like of course college funding came into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like all those ideas are things Bernie Sanders was championing and continue. So that's why I'm saying like we created him.
Well, I guess I would have to agree, but in this context, right place, right time, because as we all
Really.
know, there's footage and audio, and Sanders has been saying the same thing for over 40 years now.
But that's what I'm saying is like the movement is now there that it like oh there's someone who's been doing this the whole time.
Yes.
And I'm not saying him as a politician. I'm saying him as the candidate Bernie Sanders that could get to Democratic primary elections. That's what we created, not him. His work. His work we didn't create. It's the fact that he got this far.
Oh, no, no. I was just going to attribute some of that achievement to the fact that internet, and we have such access to the information now, right? We can go back and look at
That's even
past
like how
voting records and
yeah, and that's how Black Lives Matter and Occupy blew up too. Internet, social media, organizing, it helped.
yeah. No, you're
Arab
absolutely
Spring,
right.
same deal.
You're absolutely right. Um, yeah, no, so some guys are already saying like those conversations are dead right now. Medicare for all, for instance, UBI, or even just a $15 minimum. I obviously I think they're gonna try to push towards that, right? Because I'm sure now you're not gonna hear much in the media from these guys about it, other than whenever Biden gets on, and says what he has to say to try to get elected. I don't think you're going to see it show up as much in the media. It's not going to be the
Remember,
forefront.
yeah, like remember, we're still in the primary. We haven't gotten to the general election yet, and he may shift right. He'll do his pivot.
Mm, I, I don't know.
Oh, really?
I feel like he may kind of go. He'll take it to yard one, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
because here's the thing: his efforts are soft. Like the second it seems like backing a Bernie plan in the general election might hurt him, or it's not going to work out so well, they'll drop it like a fucking bag of hammers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They'll drop it so quick. Like its second polling dips on that on a Friday, it will be done by Sunday morning.
Yeah, yeah. You just won't hear it again. It just won't be a talking point anymore.
Exactly. They'll shift and they'll pivot.
But yeah, I just feel like though I feel like because once again you're gonna hear in I don't know if it's necessarily this video. I think it is in this video, but you're definitely gonna hear Bernie talk about affordable healthcare. So
Oh,
that should tell you something. The fact that those words are coming out of Bernie's mouth,
oh, God damn it.
yeah, they're gonna try to kill it. But let's go ahead and listen to some more. We're about halfway through.
Okay.
All right.
And bringing some great people into those task forces.
Well, Bernie, I want to thank you for that. It's a big deal, and I think that your
It's just
endorsement
breaking up,
means
or
a great
like he
deal.
can't
It means a
fucking
great
talk.
deal to me. I think people are going to be surprised that
He's just trying to
we
talk.
are apart on some issues, but we're awfully close on a whole
Break
bunch
up
of
on me?
others, and I think you've.
Oh, can you hear me? All right, I lost Brian again. All right. Hello, hello.
Yeah, sorry, because it was like it started to break up, and I couldn't tell if that was Biden was still stammering over his fucking words, or I was being dropped.
Oh, got you. And I was saying he's just trying to talk. Here, I'll go back to when he begins. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I gotta see what
no
this is
worries.
happening. Yeah, I never had this problem. Okay, here we go.
What's this?
Well, Bernie, I want to thank you for that. It's a big deal, and I think that your endorsement means a great
He
deal.
can't
It means
talk.
a great deal to me. I think people are going to be surprised that
He's supposed to
we
run the country, folks.
are part
Bernie
on some
got through his-
issues, but we're awfully close
Biden's
on a
like,
whole bunch
I
of.
want to thank you, Bernie, for the stuff you did for thanks. Like this is the people picked.
It sounds like me on my podcast.
Right. But you're not running for the leader of the free world.
Exactly. Yeah, this is sad to watch. Like, I can't believe it's come to this. Like, wow. So we've gone to Jesus Christ.
Disgusting.
It's so we've gone to Trump, right? Which is just the absolute worst that you could bring out of humanity to
Malcolm X has a line about this where he's like, in 2016 is like they're trying to get you to be so afraid of the fucking fox or something like that you don't, or they're trying to like sell you on so much fear that you don't the fox that's raiding the hen house.
Oh yeah. That's always what's happening.
It's something to that effect. So it's like they got people so ginned up and afraid of Donald Trump and his potential presidency and now his current presidency that like you're not paying attention that literally Biden's going to be put in there just to fucking continue the same fucking bullshit that like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, both Bushes and Reagan did.
And you know what? I'm not going to say I'm okay with that, but I would rather somebody. So I'd rather the guy remembered the decisions they made. You know.
But like Reagan was also a puppet.
He was, but he had
He had Alzheimer's.
God damn it, they're doing it again. So this isn't the
They're
first
doing
time.
it again.
That's right.
It's the same old shit. So like this is
They are
what's
not
crazy
original.
about this. No, absolutely not. And like that's what's so crazy about this. Like Trump is he's like even Bernie Sanders said he's a pathological liar.
Mhm.
But their awfulness is up front. Like their base love it. That's clear as day. But like when Biden or even Obama, like they do this subsurface where like moderation with the Republicans, it's always like it's hidden from us.
Yes.
This is what got Hillary Clinton in trouble when she went to her like Wall Street backers and said like I have a public face and a private face. If she's telling them that she has a public private face, she's not telling us that.
Yep.
She's not saying, "Hey, I'm on your guys' side," but I go to them and I kind of like tell them whatever they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Telling us what we want to hear.
Yeah.
With them, she's being honest. With us, she's lying about something. And Biden's the exact same way. He said nothing. He told them nothing can fundamentally change.
I think I mean he told on himself then.
They always lie to us. They tell us what we want to hear, what we need to hear, and then they'll go and continue continuity.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back on that real quick. So nothing will fundamentally change. So are you taking that as a platitude? I see it as a bad omen.
So like the nothing will fundamentally change will work against us because we need change. In this
we
country.
do.
If not just change from Trump, but also like structural change, like the fact we got people dying from this pandemic, and they're too afraid to go get the tester because there's no test. But like, there's no test readily available. But like, they're afraid to go into the hospital because of the bill that they're incurring, and they can't afford that because they just lost their job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that is not something we need to fundamentally maintain. We need to get rid of that, and we need to change it. So when he tells the people in charge, the oligarchs and the Wall Street executives and all these people that nothing for them will fundamentally change, that's bullshit, and that's a problem for our side.
Oh, got you. So we're kind of speaking on signaling here.
So, but like I can imagine, just because I kind of understood what you were going for. There's the people who wanted the nostalgia of like, let's make America great again during Obama's time. The blue MAGA hats.
Mm-hmm.
They may hear nothing's going to fundamentally change, and they may think like, oh, Biden's going to make it like days again. They may hear that and they may understand it that way, but that is not what Biden meant.
No, that's not what Biden. Yeah, no, yeah, things aren't going to change for the better, guys. They're not.
Well, it's been changing for 40 years. When the unions, things kept changing, and that's the problem with conservatism, and that's the problem with this thinking in general. It's like, if you could freeze the economy in Reagan's time, like bust the unions, kept the wages the same, kept inflation the same, we'd probably. That's not how economies work. They change. Like markets change, new technology changes, other countries do things to prop up change.
Mm-hmm.
So like, of course China's going to rise up. Of course, like Africa's going to become a new like industrial and material power. Once like cell phones got invented, and then like, oh wait, this stuff we're mining from this country can be used to make these phones. That's going to change the economy.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff has to change. It's just a matter of like, who benefits from it, and how do we use this change or get ahead of it? So people don't understand. It's just like, hey, I just want to keep everything the same. So conservatism isn't about change.
Oh, no. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
It's about like, everything's fine now. Why should we change anything? It was like, hey, that shit changes.
And
Fucking pandemics happen.
That's what I'm saying. These guys have left they vacated the left wing. Nobody's in the middle, and they just walked over to the right wing, man. Like, yeah, there you go. He's you have a Democratic presidential nominee. Touting conservative talking points. Like,
It really pisses. Don't give them the argument. Don't give them that advantage, because every time you say, hey, my opponents on the other side of the political spectrum are correct, I'm like, stop that.
no, like, how?
It's just bad politics. That's also was Bernie's problem. He kept saying Joe Biden's right, or Joe Biden's my friend. He's a decent guy. It's like, stop that.
That's a unity thing, man. Like, God, did they beat him somewhere? Like, what did they do to Bernie?
Possibly, but it's also just like Bernie Sanders is just the nice kid who keeps getting pushed by the bully, and just like, oh, the bully's my friend. He's just, he's just kind of jockeying me a little bit. When this is what's so disappointing and disgusting for Bernie Sanders. They want Bernie to like pop him in the face. That's why we gave him money. I'd pop Joe. If you let me on stage, I'd pop Joe Biden in his face. I'd be Trump. I'd be like there.
Right.
I'd be up there saying like, Joe Biden smeared Anita Hill. Joe Biden supported
God,
busing.
that was
Like they'd
such
ask
a
me like,
controversy. I
they'd ask
remember
me like,
that.
yeah, the bus segregation. Sorry. I'd be like, they'd be like, so Brian Newton, you want Medicare for all, and like you want to end all these like foreign wars, and you want to decrease our military, and then provide everyone a UBI, and all this like free fancy unicorn stuff. How are you going to pay for it? And then I get on the mic and say, Joe Biden voted for the crime bill. He created the crime bill and voted for Republicans for bus segregation. And that would be my answer. Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War and didn't apologize to Anita Hill until right before he started to run for office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the fucking mouth. And it's like, well, you're not answering the question. I keep reciting negative talking points about Joe Biden or anyone else on that stage. Oh, Bloomberg, I would have had a field day.
Well,
you don't want to play that game. That's a Trump game.
Yeah, that's what got him elected. I mean, you look at those debates from the 2016 campaign. Yeah,
Look
he
at
didn't
the
care.
ones
He
against the
interrupted
Republicans.
people. Yeah, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I just recently watched the one. It was him against Ted Cruz and who was on the right. Oh, geez, I have to go back in my history.
John Kasich, maybe?
Maybe.
Kasich was in it for a bit.
I just remember he's saying something about like the guys on either side of him being like clowns or something. But yeah,
The people the people who went the hardest after were Marco Rubio and what's his face, Chris Christie.
okay.
And then Chris Christie came out and endorsed Trump and was like his little errand boy for a bit. He completely disrespected him.
He paid him something. It's a weird culture, man. Like I can't wrap my brain around it. Like I get it, but I've never had that kind of money and power before, so I don't get it. I guess.
Well, we're not so lucky.
Yeah, I'll put it that way. Not so privileged. All right, let's. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play.
Others, and I think you've made. If I am the nominee, which it looks like now, you just made me.
Here we go.
I'm going to need you, not just to win the campaign, but to govern.
I want to bring in Chief Political Analyst Gloria Borger.
Okay, let me pause here. For all you Biden supporters, the guy doesn't have confidence in himself to get elected under his own merit. He's been riding the coattails of Bernie Sanders this whole time, and he's consistently said that he needs Bernie Sanders and your support in order to win that nomination. Or, yeah.
He's not wrong.
He's not. Why are you voting for this guy who is saying, I mean, so essentially what Biden is doing, is the same self-defeating tactic that Sanders used, right? He's not differentiating himself. Instead of saying don't vote for Biden because he supported everything that made your life worse, he says I'm his friend or he's my friend, and yes, he can win.
To be fair, I'll put it this way. Mm-hmm. This is like I even started out our earlier conversation. What Obama did when he won the general election, he said like let's work on both sides of the aisle because we need each other. Let's unify this country. I'm like, oh, there are clear differences between our parties and like our ideology. Mm-hmm. Like if working with Mitch McConnell isn't going to work because Mitch McConnell is stabbing you in the back. Mm-hmm. If he has a different agenda than you, he is not on your side. When like, and then going back to my cooperation competition argument, is like they see this as a competition. If I'm saying like, and they see this as a competition, they lie to me. It's like, oh yeah, let's work together, and they keep stabbing you in the back. No. That's when you have to do something. That's when it's like, all right, now I got to force you out. We're not cooperating anymore. Or you've proven that you do not want to cooperate. I don't care what comes out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. I judge by your actions. Mm-hmm. Like Biden coming out and say, hey, I got to work. I need you. No, you don't. Now, campaign. I'm just looking at his entire political record.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, they work together and there's concessions among them, but like with us, the American people, the American voters, we don't get the glad hand. We don't get to hang out in their little clubs and like, hey, let's work together. Hey, let's like slap each other's backs and like make concessions. Like, no, these are the things we need material needs, and like there is not a compromise for that, especially not now. Mm-hmm. That's why it's so disgusting that they were having this argument now in the primary election, not in the general election. We expect Democrats and Republicans who are not in the same political party to have to compromise and work together.
Yeah.
Or like reach, because again, they're two different ideologies. Mm-hmm. But like, why is the party members having to do this like dance of like, oh, I'll concede something so you can have something?
You know the answer to that.
The answer. But it's just discussed in like our media. Mm-hmm. And like, to like other other nations, other countries, where they do have larger political parties, more political parties. So, because here's the thing, a lot of people in this country, like people in this country, barely understand our politics, right?
Yeah.
Understand the politics of other countries, like politics of parliamentary systems. So, like, you can have like two to three to four quote unquote liberal or left parties, and then you have like two to three to four like right conservative parties, and they have to form alliances to get like certain things going. But then you can at least pick like, I'm going to be more to the left than like a liberal party, or like the Tories are going to be more moderate than like a more like right wing, even fascist fucking party. But they get their choices, and you get to see how like really the country's playing out because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Democratic Party has taken on the corporatists, the liberals, the old boomers, the people who just don't want to think about anything, the social justice warriors, the left wing political apparatus, and then whoever doesn't fit in any of that just doesn't engage at all. And then you get the right. It's like they get to be unified, and we have to be stratified.
Because I think the problem is on this side, so on the left, and once again, I just maintain that none of those guys are interested, besides Bernie Sanders, none of those guys are interested in you, cashier, auto mechanic. They're just not. I hate to even call them separate parties at this point. Yeah, it's because they're in bed, man. They're in bed with the Republicans. They're in bed with the corporate interests, and I think what we're seeing here, why this looks so messy, and definitely why it's so infuriating, is because they're trying to still maintain this veneer of what the Democratic Party should be, and it just doesn't fit.
Well, like look it up on like Open Secrets or Public Finance. I looked this up maybe like a year or two ago after the 2016 election.
Mm-hmm.
The same people who contributed, fascinating. So Trump's top contributors is like a marketing or like Wall Street firm. I forgot the exact name of the company. Trump's top contributors. They gave him like $40 million or something like that. Now, Hillary Clinton raised more money through that side, through PACs and such.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who her third top contributor was?
Mm-hmm.
The exact same company that was Trump's top contributor. And they gave them each the equal amount of money. So if Trump is, I'm pulling out of my head, if Trump got like 40 million from them, that's his top contributor. Hillary Clinton also got 40 million from them.
And they were number 3 on her list.
But they're just number 3 in that listing. So she had a couple other people or entities give her more than 40, 30 million.
Yeah, dang, it's all
They're
business,
both bought out completely by the same people. That's crazy. So you're like, so maybe, those other two that gave more than Hillary Clinton, they probably got a little more of her ear, but you definitely heard those third place people.
Mm-hmm. And that's crazy, man. I blew my mind when I saw that. I was like, what the fuck? Like, and that not even like they only gave her like 5 million. They gave Trump like 40. No, they literally like just split the baby and just gave them both the same because they knew they're going to win either way. Mm-hmm.
That's what you do when you just have fuck all money. You're just like, that's fine. Who cares? I don't really have a dog in this hunt one way or another. Here, I'll give you $5. I'll give them $5. It's like bum fights. Like, here, you both get $5, fucking fight it out.
You're both bums. Somebody might get a sandwich in the end, but I was entertained regardless.
Yeah, how disgusting is that? And that's basically our politics.
It is, because, I mean, when it comes to it, I mean, really now, and you've explained it here, right? Like, our government, our leaders right now, it's, and I'm not saying everybody, because not everybody is bought or sold or...
And at the federal level or local level, it varies.
So it's definitely not a ubiquitous or universal statement I'm making here. But yeah, it's ridiculous to call them two parties anymore, and it seems like our government is more a club, right? An elite club, and whoever make and yeah, and Trump included. Whoever makes the presidency, you were just, you got prom queen or prom king that year, or you paid off the right amount of people, and it's like your turn. And it seems to be like this sort of leapfrog thing, right? Like you had Obama, and after Obama, he's doing everything he can to get Biden pushed in because, that's his friend that he worked with, and they made a lot of money together. It just seems like this circle jerk, man. This freaking circle jerk of people who are all tied to money at the top. And I would say Trump is different, but he's not different. He still comes from, despite how he may have mishandled that in his businesses and his dealings, he still comes from money.
And that's the thing. He's just like on the surface. Like the common argument I remember hearing in 2016 from people who supported Trump was like, "Oh, he's a businessman, so he's going to."
This is a country. It's not a business. That's the problem. And people say that all the time. It's like, this is a country. This is not a business.
The objectives are different. Just like I said, the cooperation versus competition thing. In a business, you're in competition with other people. You're trying to ruin them and make profit for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the objective. Like Trump shouldn't be trying to ruin the American people, the American workers, Black people, civil rights activists, immigrants' rights activists. The objective isn't to ruin them.
No,
and that's what they don't understand. Women's rights. The objective should not be to beat them.
Oh, that's some food for thought there. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start the video again. Are you still there? Oh, no. No, I lost you.
I'm there.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay, I thought I lost you.
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to start the video.
Seen as Jessica Dean. Jessica, it comes less than a week after Sanders bowed out of the race.
I think that's just at this point Anderson Cooper talking. Yeah. So that was it. That was the end of the portion that was important to this session. But yeah, they shouldn't be trying to beat him.
But that's also how like the right views politics, and probably also why they're often so successful. They do see it as just like a zero-sum game, and like, oh, we're gonna rip their throats out. But like, that's when I have to make the moral argument. It's like, who's your enemies? Their enemies are, the liberals got on the. That often means civil rights activists, women's rights activists, immigrant rights activists, and people trying to argue for well.
Yeah, but what's sad though? Like, we've seen more progressive legislation pass through that house when it happened to be Republican presidents. Our Republican leaders being pressured, right, by whatever social movements happening at the time. We've seen more of that from Republicans than we have from, I say, Democrats in the whole history of the United States, right? Would you agree? Yeah, that's freaking crazy, dude.
Because like the Republicans are very good about just doing whatever the fuck they want with no restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually a bad thing for like people who have our political leanings. But when we get a who is like wildly popular, won in like a landslide, and then also won very handily the second time, they're still kind of like, I don't know, I'm still gonna like play to the middle. I'm still gonna compromise with business interests. We got to do an all the above energy policy. We just can't have like solar panels and wind all over the place because I can't just end the wars that were started illegally. I just can't like close an illegal prison on a foreign nation. I have to like go through the book. It's like,
why not?
This whole there's no reason. Like I was told, like anything started extrajudicially by the president can be closed extrajudicially.
Well, I would figure so.
Yeah, they didn't have to go through a whole court and legal process to close an illegal prison. It's like that prison's illegal.
Yeah, just close
We
it.
have to close it.
They'll shut you down for selling tamales out of your trunk. Come on now.
Seriously. It's a completely asymmetric warfare in that way.
It is, but see, the thing is, like, things shifted this way at some point. So that means it's possible to shift back the other direction. But once again, I think we don't need to focus on going back to anything. And I hate that Biden said this crap, because he did speak on this, talking about moving forward.
He doesn't have a plan for forward.
No, he doesn't.
Everything
But
about
the average American mainstream media consumer doesn't know this. They hear this and they think that means something
sounds good. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. It's just like, oh, those are, but like they never dissect. Like no one ever asks Joe Biden, like, what does forward mean to you?
Yeah, somebody
they'll
should
ask. Yeah, but they'll ask Bernie Sanders, like, how are you gonna pay for that? He's like, Bernie Sanders comes out and is like, I want a single payer healthcare system like they have in every other major industrial country, with a Wall Street speculation tax. Mm-hmm. Then they'll ask him, well, how are you going to pay for that? I just told you.
Yeah,
it was
I'm going to tax
Wall Street on their speculation. But how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to get them to agree to pay their taxes is what they're saying, which really, that gives away the game.
Well, I mean, they'll come and garnish your paychecks, right? Like on the poverty level. So totally. You figure there's ways to get that money, you know?
If they're paying their property taxes. That's the thing. It gives the game away, because he tells you, it's like, I'm going to tax Wall Street speculation. It was like, well, everyone knows they're not going to pay that. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how taxes work? They can opt out of paying it?
Right.
Then why can't we all just opt out?
God damn, look at Wesley Snipes. I think they made him an example for all of us.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a black celebrity.
Oh yeah.
Because like celebrities are prominent, but they don't have like real power.
Nah. Well, not unless they're trying to get a show or something. And
yeah, think about it. They're still workers in a lot of ways. Some of them own businesses and own companies, but they're still workers. Someone still signs their paycheck. Mm-hmm. They still got to get hired on the jobs.
No, that's true, and this is why I kind of like tell people, be upset at Whoopi about that whole thing, but don't be upset at Whoopi. She's a freaking actress. She reads lines. She has no understanding of what she's saying on that damn show.
And that's what's even more what's disappointing about Whoopi Goldberg is the fact, like, you should know better, Whoopi.
Yeah, like I said,
you're in a union, Whoopi.
Yeah, like I said on Twitter, because I posted about it, and I stated that, and the fact that, she's an actress, she might not necessarily know what she's talking about, but I did criticize. I did say that it's okay. I stand by you in criticizing her on being spineless, right? Because a black woman of her generation, right?
And she's been very wealthy for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's like she's completely disconnected and ignorant. I'll say that. She's been ignorant on The View for a bit. Like, Meghan McCain is the worst of The View. But like she's her class, and so is Whoopi Goldberg. But like we expect more out of Whoopi because she's, like you said, she's a black woman. We know she didn't come from other things. She's being ignorant because she doesn't understand there's policies, prescriptions would specifically and disproportionately help black women, working class black women. She doesn't care about working class black women.
No,
do the information. She didn't do the digging to find out, like, oh yeah, providing help a lot of low class workers who are mostly low class workers in like working class jobs who are like single family, having to like raise, has a lot of their income invest in their family and their education and housing.
Mm-hmm.
Women of color.
Yes, disproportionately.
All his policy prescriptions would help those people the most.
Well,
how are you going to pay for it?
Yep. How are you going to pay for it?
You're still Hill, Brony. Why don't you just drop out and endorse Biden? I mean, everyone already chose Biden, so why are you still here? It's
And that's
infuriating.
disgusting because that wasn't even the case. And they say that this COVID thing didn't even happen, right? Like, you see it. It's the media pushing it, and they're, obviously with that whole fiasco, everybody asking Bernie why he didn't drop out. Like that they know what they're doing. They're planting seeds. They're manipulating people
Yeah, 'cause
psychologically.
Bernie's fighting for us, or at least he was, and that's what's so disappointing about all this shit. Because here's the other thing: like, I know the Republican Party advertised being for uh, people of color and women. It specifically aren't for that, and that's what they're based on that either. So when we have a candidate who's trying to do things for working and people of color and women, a woman who came from a working class background and is a woman of color chastises the one candidate who's trying to do policy prescription that'll mostly help those people, it's goddamn gross.
It is, and sad, and the conditioning's really hard to overcome, it seems. Because I still question each other, say, why do we constantly vote against ourselves?
We were asking that question of the Republican Party. It's like, why all those poor white people vote against their own interests? Now I have to ask that of the Democratic Party. Like, that's the thing. The suburban white and older people are voting with their interest.
Mm-hmm.
And either we didn't turn up enough or it's rigged.
I'm going with the it's rigged part because I do feel there's enough people.
I'm not ruling out the fact that they could have just easily like stolen and manipulated the election. Well, and the fact that no one even is really watch Morley Camp, he might be on top of that now. But like the fact that more people aren't talking about the fact, like, are you really so certain that all these numbers are accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Look about every state. It's always like, oh, I don't know. We have to recount it like several times. But sorry, when Biden won a state, it was like, oh yeah, he won it.
Oh yeah, they called it immediately.
He landslided. It's called immediately.
They
Yeah.
were calling
They did the
it
exact
1%
same
reporting.
same thing in 2016, and like every time it was close, like a coin flip between Bernie and Hillary, it was always Hillary always got the tie. It made no sense to me at the time. You're like, really? Every time it was like 49.77 plus 49.778, like Hillary Clinton won every single time.
Right.
It just drove me nuts. I'm like, really? Every time? It's like a coin flip. If you flip the coin, it's like landing on heads like 8 out of 8 times.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's just like I'm gonna call like some bullshit.
Yeah. There's a sticker on the back of that dime.
Right.
Something. Yeah, man. I kind of feel like I'm all about the shaming and stuff like that. Let's definitely continue to put people on blast for the shady crap that they do. I'm not necessarily even of the vein that we should necessarily have a third political party, right? But we got to do something. Like honestly, like I think it's naive to believe that at this point in time, the Democratic Party and that whole system there, Republican Democrat system is. I think we're beyond saving that. The corruption's just gone too far.
I think people should activate and organize against both political parties. Like I don't care if you're in the South and you have a Republican governor and a Republican House or a Republican senator. You should still be on their doorstep talking about workers' rights and civil rights.
No, exactly, and this is why, like the whole idea, and once again, what I'm saying here is nothing new. It's been brought up throughout history for hundreds of years, American history.
Because like
I'm not suggesting that we once again build a third political movement. But yeah, definitely we as the people of this country need to step up and we need to denounce that whatever that is, because it's not even a two-party system. It's a veneer, but it's not a two-party system. They're all the same rich guys just getting richer and fucking us over.
Totally. It fucking pisses me off.
Yeah, it's a club at this point, and yeah, the Democrat Republic don't matter. The nomenclature does not matter. It's the business class versus the working class now. So that's why I think it's important that we do need to try to find some way to solidify and just be less splintered and bring all these unions together. Because I truly do think that, like, if we can all come together, you know, as a conglomerate, corporation, whatever, a conglomerate more than likely, because that means I have to. Sorry for guys for speaking on things that I haven't researched yet, but a conglomerate, the individual unions or those companies keep some sort of their sovereignty. Is that correct?
I don't know. I don't really understand the difference. That sounds about right.
Okay. I should probably
how I've understood what most conglomerates are.
Here, I'm gonna try to get the definition real quick, but I figure, a number of. Okay. Yeah, so conglomerate. A number of different things or parts are put or grouped together to form a whole but remain distinct entities. Yes. So conglomerate, right? Like keep doing what you're doing, right? You can still be the Boilermakers Union or the Railroad Union or whatever. But we need to come together with our people and our money, come together, conglomerate. And I think the only real way that we can make change in the more immediate future is to rival those corporations as the people of this country, right?
Like, interesting about this country, and I had to stop before, but now I'm crystallizing another part of it. Is like the left-right divide is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy, and that's kept us divided more or less for very obvious reasons too. But like, no one ever talks about the top-down divide, the class divide, essentially. That's the one that's only finally getting brought up again. So if we unite the bottom against the top, there's more of us than there are there on the top. Because like, it's hard to say, are there really more right wingers in the country than left wingers? And then of course you get the people in the middle who don't prescribe either side.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but we know who's rich and we know who's poor, so
yeah, and I'm kind of abandoning all that because we know now, we know what we get when we deal with Republicans and Democrats. They've only gotten worse over the past 40 years, from what I've seen. I mean, I've only been around since the 80s, but I've witnessed a lot of crap come from them, and our quality of life just deteriorate, man. Like I'm gonna scream it until I die, man. One party, two factions. We need to move past that, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So once again, like kind of my idea of the working class is if you're not the billionaire, millionaire, if you're making under $100,000 a year, like, dude, there you go. You're in. Are you working? Sure. Are you not working? Okay, we got you too. You're a card carrying member.
Does someone sign your pay?
Huh?
Sign your paychecks before you get them?
Oh, are you talking about with this?
Yeah, in general, I'm saying that determines this paycheck, and you get your paycheck, and it's like it says this person, I'm bequeathing this wage for this person, and you sign the back and turn. Basically, you're receiving your salary from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's your worker.
It's
not your business.
No, I get you, but the idea is, well, I mean, it's a big ass co-op, dude. Just a big ass co-op, right? And that's kind of the whole point of the of establishing it as a conglomerate. Because once again, you know, I'm cool with the unions doing what they do in their jurisdictions, where they were set up. But I think we just, regardless of what they do, we need to come under. We need to all benefit from the same benefits, right?
It'd be like the people's conglomerate.
Yeah, like, right. Just because I don't know. Well, let's just bring up like the writers, the writers union, right? Now, is that separate from the animators union, or is it all kind of one thing?
We are connected through IATSE though, which is like kind of the larger entertainment.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a union specifically, but IATSE is how we're all connected with the writers, the actors, the animators, guilds.
Okay.
Animation guild. So it's probably the guild, and like the IATSE is probably the union, and then we're all guilds within that union.
Okay, I was gonna say it sounds like maybe the guild is more specifically hiring or employing union members.
Because I am employed under the guild, which is 839. That's like when we make unionizing efforts, we do with that. When we do meetings, we deal with that. We don't go like we have nothing to do with the Writers Guild. They have their own meetings and they have their own talks. They have their own representatives.
Mm-hmm.
But when we all like, there's a larger meeting that IATSE has, then like we are with the other guilds, and of course, like they're much larger than us too. So of course they're gonna have more members.
But there's things that the say writers in particular can be negotiating for and receive those benefits from, but you won't receive those benefits.
Correct. For example, like the writers had a strike, and they nearly had a strike very recently. But like part of it was so all the stuff on Netflix, they had they had previous deals based on like home, literally like VHS.
Mm-hmm.
But now like everything's going to streaming, and things are being put on DVD and home video consumption. Like they used to get royalties based on how many like DVDs or VHS. But now, since no one's buying DVDs or VHS, they're not getting it. Now they have to adjust to like streaming services.
Yeah.
So that was part of a big concession that our big we had recently for the writers. So we didn't benefit from any of that. Like writers in our industry probably would. They probably did. But like artists, directors, first off, we don't get royalties by and large. So that's not that's power that we have than the writers.
Yeah, you kind of explained that a little bit to me before. But I mean, how is that? Well, I don't say how's that fair. I don't even know.
And it's not, but like that's where our membership in our union has to gain more power and make the case for the studios to do that. Mm-hmm. How else will we do that? Well, it might involve like some getting together and some striking. But the trick with us is that the strike with DreamWorks isn't going to be the same you're going to strike with Nickelodeon or Disney. So unless all the like artists in the industry literally just say stop until we get this, which is why we have the guild and the union in the first place. So it's possible. Mm-hmm. It's tough until we organize and do the work and really get everybody on board to say, hey, we're not working until we achieve this. Mm-hmm. Comes to with negotiations when we get to that point, and maybe like I think we got 2 more years until we.
Okay.
Working with the studios have to cop up, and the studios might say no, because whenever we do these negotiations, the studios have their lawyers too. They're like, well, we'll concede to this, but we won't concede on this, and this is where the battle happens.
Yeah.
This is like another thing that's pissed me off about the Sanders Biden thing is like, we have to talk amongst ourselves to get on board for sure about what we want, but at least if we all want to forward that, they're negotiating already. Like if Biden is the corporate studio and Bernie Sanders is the union, I'm like, that's not where this contingent should be yet. Fucking Trump is closer to like a studio head than anybody in this equation. Biden should be with the workers. That's why he's supposed to be working class Joe, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He's going to be arguing for the corporate position against Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking nonsense.
It is.
At least there's no one in our union arguing for the corporate position.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to find we need to find the way to make that just a mass scale, man.
And like we've talked about this before, it's not even just like as a people, but it's also like people have different interests. Like we were talking earlier about the railroad workers and the textile workers. They have different priorities.
This is true, but I think overall, I mean, healthcare is an obvious one.
Because we're all living creatures. Mm-hmm. That should be very obvious, but apparently it isn't.
It is. They just don't want to give it to you. Yeah. Saying that's not apparent is kind of it's giving them a bit of forgiveness and a reasonable doubt.
See, because here's things this is what's so brilliant about Bernie Sanders and what's so stupid about this country is the fact like healthcare should be a given, and housing should be a given because everybody fucking needs to some degree or another.
Yeah, basically, unless you're trying to punish somebody like.
Right.
Or they don't want to. There's people out there who don't want to live in houses. I know people like this.
In public housing, but what about any housing?
Well, I mean,
housing, not just like a house or apartment, just like somewhere to have like this is where I sleep or where my stuff is.
No, I mean, they have a roof over their head.
Anything.
Yeah, something. It's not the street. It's not the stars.
They want a cabin. Yeah, I don't care if they want a cabin somewhere. If they're of sound mind and body, they probably need like protection from the elements.
Yes,
that's it.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. And the thing that kills me is like you see all this stuff for pets and dogs and like that. This is not to just not a jab at any of the pet lovers out there. But it seems like we get more attention to that than we do our own species of homeless.
For sure.
You never turn on the TV and see like Skid Row and a celebrity walking down Skid Row saying how important it is to help them.
Yeah, when abused or is murdered, you'll see like when a dog is abused or murdered, you'll see way more public outcry than that. Than like if a black person's killed by the police.
Oh, it shows up on 5 different news stations. Yes.
And everyone usually, like, generally says, like, oh, this is a horrible thing that should never happen. But, like, when a black person's murdered by the state, it's usually, like, half the people, like, oh, this sucks, this is a tragedy. The other half of people, like, maybe he deserved it.
Yep, he smoked weed. He listened to that rap music. Maybe you should
if you go out and say that dog maybe deserved to be murdered, everybody would lose their mind. No one would say that. That would just be, like, because we naturally presume the innocent, especially dogs, but like the innocence of a human being. I don't know. Maybe they're living on the street because they deserved it.
Right. And this all comes from the top. It's all conditioning.
Like the same way as we value like other people who aren't even in our species. Exactly. I'm not saying you should abuse animals or like mistreat them, but I'm just saying like there's clearly a hierarchy that other people have put over the lives of certain people, quote unquote.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get past that. That's gonna have to be a evolution thing there. But we're getting there. I mean, hopefully, with the generations behind us, at least those guys seem to be a little more. It looks like I dropped again. Hello.
I mean, you're right. The people treat dogs better.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Dang it! This keeps dropping. I swear I've never had this Discord drop this much at one time, or at least during
might be because, like you said, you're recording.
Yeah, I am, and I got this dang i3, so I'm sure it's not the strongest processor. Well, yeah, I'm just recording sound though, just audio, just no video. But I have added a lot of things to the computer lately, so I need to maybe at least restart it at some point.
But yeah, well, everyone healthcare. Everyone should be guaranteed food. That's something we don't talk about either. Like fresh food, fresh water. The fact that like our water's poisoned.
Yeah,
Why isn't food a guarantee? Like, okay, you can't live without health, but you also can't live without food.
exactly. Like you physically can't do it.
So I'm like, why is like, oh, why is food just left specifically to capitalistic interests? Whether it's a grocery store or like going out to a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, you can't just have everyone walk into every restaurant. It's like, I'm not saying like literally I have to walk into like the fucking fanciest 5-star hotel and like demand their like most expensive steak. I'm just saying like, hey, I don't have any money this week. I'm gonna starve.
Yeah. Is there somewhere I could go get a loaf of bread? Yeah, there you go.
Totally. Like it always drove me nuts, and this has been driving me crazy for like 20 years. The fact like how much food we waste in our country.
Oh, don't even get me started. We've been talking about that at work the past couple of days. Because the flower guys, they just throw away, and I'm talking about fruit trees too, and they're throwing away like really good product, and you see baskets full of this, and you see all the meat at Walmart and go into these gray trash cans. It's just sad.
Or even like junk food, like donuts, would just throw away at the end of the day. I'm like, give that the
yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, give it to somebody. Like right now, what the milk waste is trending right now. Thing is, people like that's nothing new, and that's exactly like I mentioned. I think on social media, I think I complained against it, and I had somebody want to come in, some business guy, some MBA or somebody want to come in. Explain how they have subsidies and blah blah blah. It's not waste, and no, it's something that was physically there and created and produced by those cows that could have been consumed, and instead of giving it to people who could have used it here or in some other country, how about here first? You dumped it. No, this waste. I don't care how many subsidies you had covering it financially. That is waste.
If I even go deeper into that, that's gonna drive me nuts. Not even like when it gets packaged and processed and brought to the market, but literally even before it gets there. It's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so. I don't understand it all.
The capitalist. Everything about capitalism is just spells destruction. Consumption is the very foundation of it, and I mean, what is consumption? To use something until it's gone, right? Capitalism makes no sense whatsoever, and I understand I'm going back to this conglomerate here. It's the word of the day. Our current capitalist system seems to be a conglomerate of many different systems, but it seems to have taken the worst out of each one.
Well, think about it. Like everything is in these. We evolved from our parents to parents, and like the human species, and everything prior to that has led to this point in our time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our social systems have done too. We went from agricultural society to an industrial one to an internet information one, and we also went from monarchical empires and then etc. to democracies to what we got now.
Mm-hmm.
And capitalism has not always been there, but like parts of it has been there, market based to what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So all we need is go beyond this shit. Yeah, there's problems here. This is not the end all be, and nor should it be. So let's go beyond it. Let's say, hey, no one ever brings this up. It's like, why goddamn demand? Is it just like, we'll give it to poor people?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of this now. I remember. Food insecurity would go away. that would not exist if you just say, hey, everyone deserves food. Like, hey, there's 5 million people, or let's make that number a little smaller. It's like there's $50,000, a 50,000 part of the city food to cover 50,000 people. People go out to restaurants that they want. They're a little picky. They like specific flavors, or they the cultural type of food.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, have that. You can go there. Like, I was rewatching D Space Nine a little while ago, and like, if those of you who don't know Star Trek super well, it is a communist society.
Communist and diverse.
They don't have money in the Federation.
They don't.
No. You never see anyone talk about money unless it's one of the alien species from like some other culture. But like within the Federation, your needs are taken care of. But like in Deep Space Nine, Cisco is the captain in that series. His father owns like a restaurant, like a Korea restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Restaurant, and I assume they do some kind of business. But I was like, but in this, I think he just serves food. It's not like he's like making money. I think it's like I want to do Korea food and I'm good at it, and this is what makes me happy. It's my cat running around. Like he's like I like a cultural leaning. Like this is probably what it takes for me to run this organization as business, and like people come in and they eat. They never talk about like, oh my god, I'm not going to make the payment this week because like rent, it's money's not as good or shit like that. You just never hear that in Star Trek.
This is true, and I often hear that point
in society that way. But I'm like, why can't we do that? Say, hey, this person is contributing to society. They have certain needs that I think the drive and the problem in our country and our culture is the fact that, like, everybody wants to be on top.
But that's driven by that whole. Once again, you're just being duped. Corporations are pushing and teaching you rugged individualism. You know. They're telling you, hey, this is the path to our level, right? Our class, our richest, and they are giving you wrong directions. Okay, hello. Okay, we dropped again. All right. No, but
if I talk for too long, that's the main trigger. Like, it never drops. It only drops when like I'm talking too much, and if I go for maybe like a minute or maybe 4 minutes, then it's just like no. It's something. It's a hit.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up and see what's going on with that. Yeah, because
we can test it out sometime.
Yeah,
keep talking and you time me, and then the second like you don't hear me anymore, it's like that's probably and that might be the hit.
Okay. Oh, I'm actually showing. I think it's me. My bars in Discord been hopping down to red, at least right now.
Yeah, but like it doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, it seems like every time I'm talking, I get dropped if I talk for too long.
No, yeah, it's right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so it's like it has something to do with you not talking and me talking. It doesn't register me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll Google that. Yeah, no, but I was just saying, yeah, it's that rugged individualism and those corporations, that union of people at the top telling you that that they're giving us wrong directions, right? They're saying rugged individualism is the way to get yours. Don't unionize. It
screw
works
everybody.
Against you.
Everybody else.
Mm-hmm. But they're
another thing. Right, the whole competition versus cooperation thing. Another thing I thought of in 2016 is like, it's interesting how we always teach children to share. But like that lesson completely goes away the second you get in middle school, maybe even high school.
That's right. I never really see many like 10-year-olds being told to share toys.
really tell like anyone 6 and younger how important it is, how important sharing is. But the second they get older than that, then it's like everyone for themselves. It's no longer important.
Yeah, it's all this conflicting information, right? But that's how they do it, man. Just confuse the hell out of you. Yeah, I don't see how we missed this. How we missed the fact that corporations are a union of people, and they're telling you can't unionize, and they've been doing this for years. You've been duped, America. How do you think they got to where they are? People unionize, came together, put their differences aside, the ones that they can tolerate.
They show class solidarity. Why don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should want to uplift the guy who's living in his car just as much as, I don't know, the immigrant who came over and opened up a liquor store.
See, there we go. Now we're getting the trick. So both in the immigrant's case and the person living in their car, the trick is they sold us that like they must have done something to be in their state. So how dare they be lower than me?
Yeah, no,
and then I'm better than them.
They try
getting people to punch down.
No, I hear that, but
the real down, like, yeah, because like, who's working to start their own business isn't less than me, but they're foreign, so.
No, yeah,
and exactly. And the person living in their car isn't less than me, but
they're living in their car.
It's status. It's the middle class idea, and they do the same thing with race. It's like, oh, the black person. If I was white, the black person isn't less than me, but they're less than because they're black. So, and the woman isn't less than me, but she's a woman. So,
yeah, there's this like unspoken connotation almost. Well, would you even say unspoken? I think the subtlety is pretty good.
Sometimes it is very spoken.
Yeah.
And we almost all rightly chastise those people, or at least look at them a little skeptically. That's why they have to get clever and they have to put on suit back and be named Richard Spencer.
Fucking Richard Spencer, man. Yeah, no, it's just it just gets me. It confusing. All this blows my mind, dude. Because it's just there's no logic in any of it, and we see it happening. It's like watching a magic trick.
It's global too. It's not even just our country for some of that.
No, that's true. You look at it seems like Boris over there in freaking the UK is trying to mimic Trump.
But even there, because again, they have a parliamentary system, and just like their social safety nets are different, that even their right wingers still did more for their people than our country can, or has. It's like they still like a UBI.
Yeah, I know. Like they're getting 80. No, is that Canada or is that are they in the UK as well?
I think UK. Yeah,
they're getting 80% of their pay there.
I think that's the UK. I'm like, that's the right wing government. Those are the Tories. Those are the conservatives who did that.
No. I do have to criticize once again. That's to every working person, and 80% of whatever your pay was. So remember, if you're getting minimum wage, that's 80% of minimum wage. So that's less than what you're bringing.
It's definitely like putting them like on a starvation thing, but better than fucking like $1,000 for like a week.
True. But my one criticism about that is that it doesn't cover non-working people. So like maybe you're unemployed right now, maybe you're homeless, something.
Yeah, but they have a term for that. They call it rough living.
Rough living. It sounds like every day in Los Angeles to me.
Jeez. Yeah, you're right. That, but again, that's the conservative. Conservatives don't give a fuck about people who are homeless or unhoused. Of course, they like throw those people to the winds. But imagine what a progressive or left-wing organization, they would, of course, obviously, hopefully, would cover rough-living people or unhoused people. See, that's again, like Bernie Sanders is the compromise.
You say that
And, like,
what just like to show us that, hey, there's other people up here that think like you too. You're not alone down
thing.
there in the
Well,
masses.
Well, here's always been my political philosophy for at least since Obama is the fact that, and why I'm so disappointed in him. If you look at the game of politics as tug of war, now there's more dimensions than that, as we discussed about like left, right versus up and down. But if you look at just the political gamemanship, it's tug of war. And like the problem with Obama is that he starts the tug of war from the middle. His foot's already on the line.
Mm-hmm.
But when the far right is it's politically possible right now in this country, pull, you're already like, pull. It doesn't matter if there's side versus their side. If his foot's already on the line and they pull as hard as they can, you're already going to be like 1 foot over.
Mm-hmm.
Sessions to their side, you just get closer to their side. So my theory is, why don't we pull as hard as we can on the opposite side and force them over to us? And that's what I believe they have in other countries, at least to a better degree than we have. So, like, that's why Boris, a Tory right-wing conservative who's as crazy and fucking out of his Trump is,
Mm-hmm.
will still give the British workers 80% of their income.
But they also
Like
have the balls they also have the balls to protest en masse there too. So I mean, that speaks
look at
volumes for change.
Totally. And look at the French. And again, like those people on the street aren't all like quote unquote communists and left wingers. It's the people.
Yeah, they're like you, trying to pay their bills.
Many of them, I'm sure, are racist. Many of them are sure are homophobes and sexist.
There's gonna be those out there. But
I mean, look,
they still got to make a decent wage too, you know.
Yeah, a Trump rally is just a protest in a stadium. The Trump rally is. They liberal austerity and the libs.
Hurrah, reactionism.
It's reactionism. But what do they want? They want their fucking jobs back. They want this country back, essentially. Are we gonna let them stand for? Are we gonna stand for that and just not even just cower to their fucking protests? Are we gonna have a protest of our own for like what? Livable wages, housing, and into these wars, Medicare for all. Let's do our own fucking like Trump protests.
How do you organize something like that?
Bernie Sanders had it.
No, yeah, there you go. Sanders, like, yeah, he could still be a champion for that. But
here's the thing: who's going to show up for a rally when he's like stumping for Biden? He did stuff for Hillary Clinton, and I'm sure he drew some of the crowds he had when he was stumping for himself. If it's just about crowds, it's one thing, but obviously we need more than that.
No. I'm not talking about spectacle here. I'm talking about actual. I mean, it should be a spectacle, but it's like, how do you organize something like that? You know.
Well, like Bernie Sanders wanted to be the organizer in chief, and Obama also ran on the promise of rallied a coalition of people that he immediately disbanded the second he got in office. Biden has to do the same. But he's old. He doesn't have the track record for it, and it would feel disingenuous, especially at this point. So it's not going to work. By an effort, but we're all highly skeptical of it. So like everyone's just kind of resigned their fate
to what?
Just forward, and everyone's kind of resigned to their fate just because of vote for Biden because of the Supreme Court and kids in cages, and he's not Trump.
Or so myopic. Like, I get it. Like, those are definitely things we need to tackle and tackle now. But we've been saying these need to be tackled and tackled now for years now.
Well, yeah. That's why I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years for me, and it's been every game the exact same time.
Yeah.
And when we win, they blame us. And when they lose, they blame us.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you. Absolutely fuck you. I told you what to do. And I told it what... Even if we lose, here's the thing I would have loved about a Bernie's presidency that I didn't get from the Obama presidency. I don't mind losing if you fight as hard as you fucking can. What I can't stand is when we lose and we didn't fight as hard as we could. And it's obvious that someone wasn't fighting for us. That's a betrayal.
Yeah, for that guy to come out the woodworks.
If Bernie went down with a bloody on the mat and just they fucking massacring him, I'd be on Bernie. Obama to be in there. I'm saying for Obama to be there and to come out clean and not a scratch on him and still like high stepping. Yet the rest of us are bloodied and murdered.
Because right now it's still speculation, you know.
Yeah, it was speculation how Bernie would have governed, but we know how Barack Obama governed, and there's not a scratch on that dude.
Oh yeah, nobody compares him to a war criminal like they do George W. Bush.
And he committed crimes, if not more.
Dude,
and here's the thing: like he gets out of office and he's skiing with like Richard Branson. They're not calling him like a traitor to his class.
You really?
Oh, totally. Look up what Obama did in 2016. He's like taking photos with Richard Branson, skiing in the Alps.
Okay, I need to take
a look at that. Yeah, Trump's president. And Obama's like having a good time. He's not in the fight right now. He's not in the struggle.
Wait,
there's no reason why
he
doesn't have to. He's the next president. He can do whatever he wants. He could be marching in protest right now.
He's in the struggle. He's throwing a wrench into the gears. That's what he's doing.
Sorry, car alarm's going off. This car always goes off.
That's all right.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, if Obama was really in that fight for us, he'd be rallying in the Bernie Sanders rallying, like, "Hey, affordable health, you got us so far, but really every single American needs it. I am supporting Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Gold Pay or Universal Program." He could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Could have done it. $17 a wage or $10 a wage isn't enough for Americans to live on. Everyone really needs $15.
There you go.
He could have said that. Even if he's not rallying for those things, like he's literally not on the picket lines for Walmart or Amazon, nothing's stopping him. But he won't say those things because he knows his buddies don't want those things. He's been told that the economy or the American people, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I think he's already spoken against supporting any of that stuff from the get-go.
Absolutely, because he doesn't believe it. He doesn't want it. Yeah, he doesn't believe it because he doesn't want it. Because even if he wanted it and didn't believe it, at least he would advocate for it.
That's true.
Silence is deafening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more of the same. It just seems to me just more of the same, man.
He ain't talking about ending wars anymore. And when McCain ran in 2008, he got slammed because he was talking about staying in Afghanistan until 2024.
Ooh, no.
Or Iraq. One of the two. But until 2024. We're 4 years out from that. And he's almost gotten his way.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's gonna take that generation dying off, dude.
Yeah, I've said on Twitter, I said online that Biden's victory and Trump's victory is all because we haven't properly reckoned with administration. We let him get away with what shit that he should not have gotten away with.
Oh, Obama. You said Obama?
Obama.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, it's exactly the reason why we have an encore performance of the bailouts. Like, really? Y'all can do nothing different? Same damn thing. Same damn play. But I'm wondering now, because I know the experts have been saying for quite some time that there was going to be a crash on the way. I wonder how soon that would have hit, or if it's a coincidence that this happened when this coronavirus thing happened, because the two aren't. I know one affects the other, but one isn't caused by the other, right? Like the
I know
economic
what you
crash
mean,
isn't
yeah.
caused by coronavirus. Like there was already one on the way, and I'm wondering how close we were to that, and how.
I've been saying this economy has been stagnant for a while. So, like, it's no one's making more money. Houses are way too expensive and getting more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm specifically in a position because like the entertainment and animation has been in a boom. Like, there's more work out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, no one I know is like looking for work, but that's not the case in every industry or every profession. Like, I was getting really concerned when all those like tech companies started like closing up, like name, but still kind of tech. Telltale and website closed down recently. Is it BuzzFeed?
Did BuzzFeed close
BuzzFeed
down?
laid off a bunch of people. BuzzFeed laid off a
Wow.
bunch of people a while back. Some other people have like completely gone under, and I don't remember who they are now. But yeah, it's when that started happening to a lot of the tech firms, I'm like, that sign. And this was like last year, so it's not like a long time ago. It's just a couple of places like went down under last year. Let me see if I can look it up real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember hearing about BuzzFeed.
They laid off people. I don't. They're still around.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Telltale being a thing. Like, didn't they end up like they didn't have enough to pay their employees or something? Isn't that what
It was
happened?
a deal.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
It was all the way to 2010, but I just wanted to see.
All right, you still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah, I guess you last pretty. It stays connected during silence.
Weird.
I'm just looking at when this thing drops off, but when you're not talking, it stays up.
Weird. Can't find a list or at least anything. Yeah, that's stuff that's gone public, but I found a store closing in the retail apocalypse.
What?
Retail apocalypse and store closing. I'm just looking at brand.
Oh, got you. Yeah, those malls closing. That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
guess not.
scary too.
Is it really though? I mean, just with the sort of technological advancements that have come.
And yeah, it makes sense because like you got Amazon, a mall's not really necessary.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's offering products and services online.
Yeah, and like people don't socialize in the mall like they did in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the 80s and 90s. You went to a mall not just like to shop, it's just to hang out too. But now like you hang out and Zoom and
Yeah, we
other
have.
places online. That's how young people socialize.
Mm-hmm. And play games online.
You do all that stuff. Like, we went to the mall to play arcades.
Oh, dude, I miss those days after high school.
I mean, related back to politics, that's how the new generation's going to mobilize. They're not going to do it they don't necessarily have to do it on the street. They do it online.
Oh yeah. We talked about that before. The Egypt protest and
the Arab Spring.
Arab Spring. There you go. Yeah. That was done completely through mobile data and Twitter, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, all that stuff.
And that's what's so disappointing about the generation of politics that's leading this country. None of them grew up not even in the video age. They're all like way old. How can they possibly relate to the youth and the young people, young adults in this current age when they don't even understand how the young adults communicate?
I feel like that's always been a problem, though.
I've noticed that. Well, first off, people are living longer. Fucking 70 and 80-year-olds who are still like running the country. It would have been like 100 years ago. You didn't living past 60 would have been uncommon.
Yeah.
So that's one reason why the divide has only gotten wider. So they're holding on to power a lot longer. But also, I think they talked about this on the Majority Report a couple of years ago. I found it fascinating because no one's ever brought it up. Is the fact that like how many people in our Congress are in Gen Xers? Not a lot. So like the Gen X generation just checked out. They were like, I'm not getting involved in any of that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I often do fault the boomers for the reason why we're at the state we're at, but god dang, yeah.
Boomers are holding the rails and never let go, but also like the Gen Xers never like straight up just took it.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing very many like populist or working class, middle class protests and things growing up, like ever.
Definitely not, because that's not what the Generation X kind of like. That's not what they were about. Like one Gen X politician I couldn't think of off the top of my head, I think is Al Franken.
Yeah.
Like anyone within his generation, like they're not in their 70s. They're like they're like mid 40s into like late 50s. There's definitely a few, but they ain't making waves. They're not Bernie.
No. Yeah, I think we can all agree that Bernie is he's a one in a million guy there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think that'll change moving forward, though. Like I said, I think we're kind of getting to the point of where we're seeing the darkest before the dawn. Because really, I mean, how much worse can it get from here? I mean, I understand it can get worse. More people out on the streets and stuff.
Always get worse.
Yeah, it can. That's why I'm like, I'm not gonna even finish this because it could get way worse. I mean, heck, there are people getting beat and sprayed and pepper sprayed and gas for saying don't put oil through this land because you're gonna mess up the land.
Once you get closer to
and they're right,
modern worker struggles, you'll see like, oh my God, people died to get the weekend is the common saying, but it's true.
No, they did in the 30s. Yeah. People died.
I mean, there's people who are alive who witnessed and were around for that.
Mm-hmm. Someone like through the 50s too.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, like I said, this happens it's a cycle, man. It'd be nice to make this not a cycle anymore,
or at least a more upward trending cycle, not what feels like a downward trend.
Yeah. We got
40 years is way too long to deal with this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got an 80-hour work day. The loophole, or 8-hour work day. The loophole to that is they don't pay you enough, so now you have to work 16 hours or more, you know.
To maintain.
Yeah, to maintain. God dang, they find a way around everything. Yeah, 8-hour workday and abolish child labor. I can't really think of much more. Like that's partly one of the reasons why I'm going through and looking at this history, because I do need to see what other noteworthy worker protections have been passed through labor unions here.
Well, it's also brilliant about putting things in a broader perspective as well.
No, true. It you need to, because I mean the history of it shows what didn't work, and I mean just like now, like we know what works, right? As far as our economy here, the most prosperous time in this country was what, after the Great Depression, once we got the social safety nets, right? And before the big like corporate push. Yeah, I mean that's when we're most prosperous.
Of course, like that history is, or at least those connections have been severed.
Yeah, which is why we don't want to go back.
And it's also crazy because it's the "Make America Great Again" crowd are the people who that era again, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how we got it, and they never reconcile like what that meant. Like they just think like, oh, back when women weren't so uppity and blacks knew their place. That's what we can assume based on how they reason. But what they want is like, yeah, you want strong unions and work a middle class lifestyle, but how did you get that?
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot of great.
FDR, a Democratic president, put in a lot of rules and regulation that provided for that, like a 90% tax rate on upper class.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the Democratic Party, because as we discussed, they're bought by the same people as the Republicans. Never mention that. They never talk about FDR.
They
Never.
don't, and that's surprising. FDR, or even like even
They don't even
surprising.
talk
I
about
don't hear.
Kennedy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't hear anything about JFK. Like, wow, you don't. They don't invoke him at all, and
The
I'm
Republicans had the nerve to, even during the Bush administration, to talk about Lincoln. They love Reagan, but like they even talked about Lincoln, and even occasionally would mention Nixon. But the Democrats never talk about FDR.
well, at least Nixon got some progressive legislation passed.
Yeah,
Um,
the
no, they don't.
mention. Yeah, they'll mention Reagan because that's their golden boy. They'll mention Lincoln. Hey, we're not racist, and they even mention Nixon just to say, "Hey, we're going to own up our history." But the Democrats never talk about FDR.
They don't. They don't. And I'd say almost single-handedly the reason for that prosperous time in America that everybody yearns for.
Because they don't want to remind people, it's like, hey, when we tax the rich and like provided a strong social safety net, it got really good for not everybody, but for a lot of people. And here's another thing to connect it to, because people often correctly mention how FDR's policy, it didn't, like a lot of minorities and people of color didn't fully benefit from FDR's policies. But if it wasn't for FDR's policies, kind of like a rising tide, all boats, we wouldn't have had the civil rights movement, or at least it probably would not have been to the level it was at.
No, agreed.
Because it's like black people gaining stuff, or at least also black people seeing white people getting stuff, made black people say, "Why don't I have that too? I thought all of us were supposed to be lifting in this tide, and we're still drowning." It
Mm-hmm.
put that fucking fire under our bellies and say, "Hey, they're getting all this shit. It's trickling down on us, and we're sick of it. We are people. We are workers in the society. Our women still can't vote. I know but like black women still couldn't vote.
Mm. Okay.
It was completely evident. So that's when like people of color start to get educated, and like we had our like we start to get our first few generations of black college HBCs. So it's like now it was like we start to develop a black middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what about all this like unequal bullshit?
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened, like even within the Obama administration, because like the black youth aren't like, we know like shit's not equal yet. So we said, hey, what's with this like black youth, black people being killed disproportionately by law enforcement?
Yeah, still not enough came from that, I don't think.
Didn't, because we didn't force hard enough.
No, we didn't. Matter of fact, it just kind of went away. Like, I'm sure it's still happening constantly. You just don't see it in the news anymore.
And they're murdering activists just as much as back in the past. Maybe not just as much, but people who are involved in those movements have been executed. The story never gets talked about.
See, that I hadn't been hearing.
Look up people who were involved in the Ferguson movement. There's been at least 3 men, maybe 4, who have been shot in their cars, and then the cars have been lit on fire within the span of like 8 years. 3 people murdered and killed. They were all involved in the Black Lives Matter Ferguson thing for Michael Brown.
Wow.
Prominent people too, prominent men, and it's just like, that's not a coincidence.
No, it's not the same
The
method.
first time I heard it, I was like, that felt like an execution. That's not like a gang thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's some sending a message type shit right there.
And that also feels like law enforcement, because to my knowledge, no one ever caught a killer or made a motivation for the crime.
Yeah, some people are just hateful. Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I think we do need to start focusing on moving forward, though. Like, seriously, moving forward. I think right now we're a little too stuck in the sensationalism. And not saying like me and you, but as far as the media goes, and I mean, the media is basically controls the climate for the country, right?
We can't count rely on sensationalism. That's never gonna not be the case. We just have to just get everyone cord cutting. We just have to rely on like people recognizing that game themselves.
Yeah, no, I think we need to be a little less myopic too, and just I say that definitely call out who needs to be called out now. But there's not enough
myopic.
Which is good, which we normally do. We focus on the now, the current events, but there's just not enough people talking about what we need to do moving forward as working class. Like, I'm still, like I say, here and there, I'm hearing conversations of people unionizing and things like that, but I'm just not.
It's helping. It'll start if the working class starts talking more about being the working class. Like, the media is not filled with working class people. The media is filled with upper class, your wealthy people.
That's true, but we're kind of at the forefront right now. The working class, the middle class, essential workers.
But when you consider like people like Anderson Cooper, he's a multi-millionaire.
Oh,
and came from money. Like the old adage, not old adage, but the adage is that like television pundits are just millionaires being told by billionaires what to say. Because like everyone you see on media, they get a hefty fucking salary.
No, they do. It's for a reason. It's distraction, and look at the power they have over the majority of the country.
At the very least, yeah, especially when you talk about corporate media, like plenty of journalists who media outlets who don't make that kind of money, obviously. But like when you're talking about heads who are like pretty and glammed up, who work for they of course make a lot of money, and they go to specifically parties where that kind of money would get you access.
Mm-hmm.
of their friends. Those are the people they talk to. So even if like immediately they're not like co-opted, over time it happens. Going to one cocktail, these people, it's like, okay. He's like, I'm still a journalist, but I'm listening, but I don't really buy everything. And then over time, you go to enough cocktail parties, you start being social and friendly. For some people, it takes a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it takes a couple of years. Some people, it takes maybe a decade or more.
Mm. So, I mean, what do you think that's going to spell for our independent media sources, those celebrities?
If they move into those spaces and start making that kind of money, oh, it's going to happen to them immediately too.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Dore and even Jank always had a thing where it's like, I don't want to be in Washington because like it's harder to criticize them when they become your friends, when you could like hang out with them, when you see them all the time, and like that's accurate.
No, that's
Kind of
true.
still want to be on the outside.
You end up being Bernie Sanders saying Joe Biden is my friend. He's my right.
Exactly.
He's my competition, but he can win.
Like I like Joe. I have a personal relationship with Joe because I'm sure like him and Joe have known each other for a long time. They like see each other at halls. They're not ripping each other's throats out. They're just like, hey, how's he doing, Joe? It's like we have disagreements, but what he's not factoring is like his disagreement. Joe Biden determined whether like million black people ended up in jail because of 1994 crime.
Oh, I was gonna say a Middle Eastern girl, whether they made it back home from school or not.
Right in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, like and that stuff matters. It does, and unfortunately, I mean, nobody's bringing that up, but the independent media news sources.
We'll start talking about it more.
Yeah. We'll have to figure it out. Like we can break things down now, but I think we have to look at how to move past this.
I think just like post on Facebook, like we have to really reconcile, not like moving backward, but we have to really deal with the legacy of Obama. And like dealing with that is just simply saying like, hey, the ACA Obamacare was a good step. Now we have to go for it. What we're saying and doing with Bernie Sanders, but not recognized because immediately the media got on top of like, and even I had a friend tell me this. It was just like he's going to get rid of Obamacare with his Medicare for all.
What?
People believe
like, do you
like
understand,
Democrats believe this.
They don't understand the words that are coming out of their mouth.
You do. It's just like,
so you're gonna get rid of.
They've been sold something. They believe like him running for office and advocating for a single payer program is going to get rid of the Obama legacy.
Also, are you saying that they're that talking point is now just to kind of forget that?
Well, I'm saying like that's what the media, the corporate media, told people what Bernie Sanders was trying to achieve. So half of the Medicare for all debate became, we don't need to get single payer Medicare for all. We just need to get back Obamacare. We just need to preserve Obamacare. Like even when Hillary Clinton was running, argument was we just need to preserve Obamacare.
Oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
there's like let's just preserve. Let's like we can't go forward. We just got preserved. I'm like,
oh, dude, that's really? The game. That's the game. It's incrementalism, and just maintain, sustain.
But and that's what's so fucking frustrating. Like it's not like Republicans are saying we need to maintain. This is the Democratic Party. And this is the people who were supposed to say, hey, Obamacare was a good first step, but we still have like 30 million people who are uninsured, and it's still a very expensive program to participate. It's not serving everybody. Let's try to serve everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, we'll keep Obamacare, but it was like how? But then no one ever talked about how we were going to expand it.
Yeah, there are no plans on doing
I think
it.
honestly it would have been better if Bernie Sanders said, I'm going to do a single payer healthcare and call it Obamacare. think that would have worked.
Just
Shut up all those like expanded it
just repurpose Obamacare.
immediately. Compare healthcare, Obamacare.
What?
All the right wingers would lose their head again. Just like, it's Obamacare, it sucks.
Oh, okay, I got you. Maybe you can come and have a new argument for Medicare for all.
I'm just saying, like, people are just tripped up on the name on both sides because, like, Democrats want to keep Obamacare because the great President Obama. Republicans hate Obamacare because it's Obama. Okay. They love their ACA, they just hate Obamacare.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Who cares about a name? Let's get. I don't care.
Yeah, let's get some policies in place. Damn it. Yeah, but we're gonna have to demand that though. So.
Great.
Yeah, nothing's gonna come easy from here on out. It doesn't look like. Yeah, man. Who do you know as far as organizers?
Yeah, I've been working with DSA. Most of my contacts are through there.
That's right, DSA. I do need to get in contact with them.
I'm surprised they don't have one in your local to you.
No.
I know they have Texas, but just not in your part of Texas.
No. There is. There's a there's a San Antonio chapter.
Good. I figured because San Antonio is a big place.
Yeah. I ended up finding it. I think I might have filled out their intake form.
Yeah, I heard they had a bunch of new membership once Bernie dropped out officially a couple of days ago. So it's the second wave. I was part of the wave that came on. Got in.
Oh, well, that's good. Like I think there's really a shift, or we're starting to see a shift, socially. I think it's a good thing that the guys under us, the Generation Z, that they have access to all this stuff. They like the internet, right? So they can go back and see all the foul behavior and
socialism isn't like even Stephen Colbert said. Truth has a very liberal bias, or something like. Because like they can scream about fucking socialism and how it's gonna fuck everything all day long, but they have to create these lies. Versus you actually look back at the truth of history and you're just like, oh no, actually it's pretty dope. It's pretty good things. And then not even just history, just look at your neighbors in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about Doc before capitalism, but have you seen Where to Invade Next?
No.
Get up. I have it. Look it up. Watch it. It's both heartbreaking and inspiring.
No, I think I've seen it. I didn't press play.
You mean like you saw it online, but you didn't?
Yeah.
Watch it. Watch it. It's good.
Okay, no, I'll do that. I will make sure to do that. Yeah, because it caught my interest, but I don't know. I just want to watch something else.
I'll give you the basic kind of overall overview of it. It's like he demonstrates that like all these various that these other mostly European, but not exclusively European countries have, you're perfectly able and capable of doing, and have done, and that's like the final thesis of.
As far as over here, in this country, or the countries affected by war?
In this country.
Oh, got you. Now I'll go ahead and take a look at that.
All of it, like if you just like each of these every country has its problems, obviously various problems. problems. But like if you could make like a utopian society just based on like the amalgamation of all these like cool ideas that he would different societies have, it'd be a utopia. You'd just like for the planet.
Oh, okay. Got it. So just taking the good aspects from all the economic systems basically and
Most European, but he does go to Tunisia and where else in the Middle East? Tunisia's North Africa, but like yeah, he goes around the world, but mainly European, Mediterranean, North Scandinavian countries.
mm-hmm. If it just wasn't for that pesky inability to want to try something new, God, that'd be great. But we're so afraid to try new shit here.
That's the thing. Like it's just old. It's old stuff. And if anything, just be decent. Why can't we just be decent?
Yeah, it's taking all the
Morality.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's no need for any negative. I don't even say consequences, but the negative parts of legislation that have to like. Why does somebody always have to negatively pay for any positive steps that we take? Right?
Yeah, because again, go back to people perceive everything in competition as zero sum game. Here's one aspect of the movie they do. France, there are little to no. Yeah, in France, there are little to no private schools, which means that like rich kids go to school with poor kids.
Uh-huh.
Because of that, rich kids like have poor kids who are friends, or poorer kids who are friends, and vice versa. So when they grow up, they're less likely to like villainize poor people. Not having a private institutions for education is that like rich people's taxes and they're paying for their kids' schools also pays for poor kids' schools.
Yeah,
what we have in this country, rich people send all their kids into private schools.
Yeah,
taxes
and if they were poor,
have less incentives to help out public schools.
Mm-hmm. And if they were poor, they supported segregation. So
segregation based on income, not necessarily race.
Yeah.
Still very related.
I think honestly, at this point, in the grand scheme of things, we're kind of past race now. No, racism's still rampant. It's out there, but in the grand scheme of things, it's all class warfare now. It doesn't matter if black, white, Asian, Mexican. If you're poor, like they're after you. They're gonna keep taking you while you're down.
That should be the things we should immediately recognize would be the next, and probably, hopefully, final step.
I'm wondering. I'm just wondering now because I really do think that taking control of the internet was going to be a very pivotal and strategic move that they were not successful at yet. I don't know if that's still in mitigation. But you take the information from people, keep them ignorant, control their curriculum, the books and stuff. And there you go. It's classic. It's happened over societies over thousands of years.
I mean, look at what's his face, Ajit Pai tried to do it like net neutrality.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think that was sort of the power play at the beginning of this. I'm wondering if that topic's going to come up again.
It's been
very soon,
really silent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, think about like the Democratic politicians in the campaign, the primary, never really talked about it. That's still in the works, and the fact that they can use this pandemic and everyone requiring the internet just to socialize, to really give corporations, it's like, hey, we need to keep, since everyone's using all this.
God damn it! You said that.
Like really maintain control of this and maintain like a social order.
So you know what the next move is going to be now. I think that's quite obvious. I honestly think that's going to come back up in the forefront, in the headlines again. And yeah, because You got this. We're dealing with this pandemic. It's going to make it that much hard for us to resist it like we did last time. But yeah, like I said, everybody can. So the younger generations can go back. They can see all the bad voting records and things like that, right? I don't think they want that to happen.
What they'll do first is that they'll just goddamn, I can't think of the word. They'll basically like what they do like to journalists like Glenn.
Blacklist, blackball.
Blacklist, not blackball. Kind of like smearing and kind of discrediting. They'll discredit certain like independent journalists and outlets to like not be quote unquote legitimate. Like even if they're just like posting the truth or old articles that may be inconvenient. Just say like they're not legitimate news sources, so that's what fucking Facebook was doing during on YouTube was during and they start cracking down independent media sources and like hurting them, removing them monetarily because they were like controversial.
Mm-hmm.
And like the YouTube apocalypse that happened like a couple of years ago.
No, I remember that.
Yeah, that's what that's about. It's about like, all these, and of course they use the justification. It's like, well, there's a lot of right wing stuff, so we gotta clamp down on that. For like secular talk and everybody else.
Yeah, because it's people getting information that they would normally not have access to.
Right. It's like, it's all fake news, and that's why like when I play my YouTube, I have like YouTube Red, so I can watch ad free, thankfully. But
same here. I got the premium.
Yeah, it's like I can like listen to music with my phone not being on. It's convenient.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but now it's like I'm watching. It used to be I watch like majority just secular talk, and it would just go right into one of their other videos. Like it would just play one change. Now it's like I'll play a video, and then it'll go to like an MSNBC video.
Really, I was having a problem with mine. Like every single time, it would go to Trevor Noah. Just recently, it started going to Democracy Now. But it's like, why does every video go to Trevor Noah? Any other?
They change their algorithm, so it's like, oh, you like news? Well, here's a legitimate news source.
Yeah, because like any other station I'm watching, whatever music or whatever, like the videos that usually play they're from that channel, right? They just kind of keep playing until you say stop or change the video.
But for some reason, when I report, it would play one video majority and then go to CNN or MSNBC. I'm like, I don't want to watch. See, I'm not subscribed to them.
Yeah,
that's why I wish I could like block channels. Because I would totally block like CNN and MSNBC because like I don't want to watch any of their videos.
Request it as a feature. I don't know.
Totally. They wouldn't, but that's why they wouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, to lock them out of the biggest audience.
And if you did, that the corporate entities would be unblockable.
Yep. This is true. Yeah, man. Like I'm struggling.
Like 3 a.m. for you, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm probably gonna get off soon here, but man, I'm kind of conflicted because I mean, you see how big this system is, right? But I don't want to feel like it's hopeless because we've seen change, and historically, the greatest change has come during a period like this, like when we have something crisis going on. And I think it's really. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think it's really only like during these periods that I'll say the value of the working class, middle class, or the lower classes in the United States are kind of brought to the forefront, and kind of that the spotlight's kind of shined upon it.
I think the middle class needs to like wake up and pick a side. Like we were kind of briefly talked about moderates and centrists before. I think they're the moderates right now. Their class interests are showing, and that's why they could easily pick Biden over Bernie Sanders versus like Hillary.
Yeah, this is sort of.
16.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, leave me alone. Like things are
Suburban
fine.
vote with the Buttigieg and not Buttigieg specifically, and also admittedly Bernie Sanders, Japan rural vote too. But like rural voters are also kind of like suburban middle class types as well. There's a lot of those out there.
Mm-hmm.
Factory workers. Every case, sorry.
No, you're fine. No, yeah, that's a weird demographic. I still blame the rural voters for Trump. No, I'm playing. I don't blame you for Trump. Um,
It's kind of their base of support, but like the Democratic Party also lost the argument they could have for. Here's the thing: like everyone, a lot of Trump's, a lot of people voted for Trump because of the racism and the demography, but they lost a lot of voters from people who voted for Obama for 2 terms.
yeah, that's true.
Not you can't really call them racist. I mean, you can always say toward racism. I'll say that because like I used the argument after Trump won against for some white people who were like, oh, it was all backlash. I was like, really?
What?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If fucking Barack Obama came out in 2008 or 2012 and was like, so we're gonna get everybody we're gonna end these wars, we're gonna like bring back the middle class, and we're gonna institute white slavery. No matter how fucking crazy you think that would be, large black people would not support that.
Yeah, because we cool. We ain't trying to slay no people.
We might joke about it.
Yeah, but
but we're not
got
voting
no time
for
that.
They're like, what? You want to bring slavery back? Just the implication of bringing any slavery back, let alone if it's only white people enslaved, it's like, yeah, that's not gonna go so well.
Mm-hmm. Like just
And nor would white people stand. Obviously, that's
hey,
a bad deal.
let's just vote for a month. Can they do it for at least a month
Right,
to know how it feels?
right. And of course, there would be some black people who would vote. They're wrong, but like the on announcing his campaign could say, yeah, he can announce like Mexicans are murderers and rapists. He wants them all. I'm like, for me, I'm like absolutely done. I'm not even a consideration.
Mm-hmm.
These are like, yeah, I can consider it, or I don't like that, but I like all the. That's what I'm saying. What came out and said he wants to put out white racism and white slavery and kept everything else the same about his policy. I'd be like, I'm not voting for that. That's insanity.
Yeah,
that's cruel and it's insane. That's how I feel about Biden and a lot of the other like moderate centrists. I'm like, yeah, there might be some good stuff in there, but there's some stuff I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Go write a fan fiction, an alternate history book. You know.
Obama puts up white slavery.
There you go.
I mean, they're accusing him of that. I mean, Evan Yasman and I did a podcast when he was still alive about that, where we talked about all the crazy things people were saying about Obama. Is like he's gonna bring back white slavery.
God, so fearful, such a fearful people.
That was all the Tea Party people. It was like, ugh. All of them, obviously, but you know that was a talking point that came from that group, and I'm just like,
that's just ridiculous.
That's the whole. Obama's a Muslim communist Nazi.
Muslim communist Nazi.
Those things don't go together for a lot of reasons.
Well, neither does American Nazi. You know,
for sure.
Fucking Ku Klux. What?
And that's purely American. So,
as American,
at least it's an ideology. Yeah, at least there's an ideology behind it. When the ideology behind communism and fascism do not. Authoritarianism and communism, sure. Authoritarian, sure, but like not fascism.
Yeah.
Communism, that's like way too different. Or Nazism, those are two countries.
Actually, I need to go ahead and add those to my terms too, so people can understand the difference between those
Yeah,
terms. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. When you get to like the industrial age, that's gonna be a huge part of it. Like people forget that there was an actual like, I mean, there were Nazis in America, just in America, but there were definitely communists in America as well during
Oh.
FDR's time. Those were like communists were real. It's like you could know someone who was a communist,
Mm-hmm.
and even part talk to like know people were communists. It's like a normal thing. But in this country, it's like it's worse than the devil.
Anything that's a threat to capitalism and profit is the devil here. That's what I'm noticing. Doesn't matter how noble or how good or how beneficial it is. If you're sending away the profit.
Bingo.
Which is weird. God dang. Like, I swear we're getting like all these weird, like genetically, like, I don't know, like something's wrong with these people. Like, is it inbreeding? Like, I don't know. There just seems to be like just circle of just fucked up people.
You're talking about like 50 World War propaganda.
No, I'm just talking about all the crappy, the crappiest of the crappy people that we keep getting to run this country.
They're corrupt.
It's shitty people, man.
That in a nutshell. It's corruption. The one I went to Washington, D.C. a couple of times. Like not experience, but like I was in the subway system going someplace, and then there was like probably like my age or maybe a little younger,
Mm-hmm.
like early 30s, late 20s at youngest, and they were just listening to them. It was like that scene in the Joker where he's on the subway and those three like douchebags were like bothering and like harassing that girl, that woman. It was like that. It was like those are the type of people that were on that subway, and they were like talking about how they're working in Capitol Hill, and like they're just talking about like what schools they're going to, and like they're kind of like general. Like these people feel like they're only in the public sphere for a lobbying interest for their own, and not feel like activists or organizers who are thinking about the common or social good or communal good. Felt like they're just one step removed from like Wall Street types.
Yeah.
And this is Washington, D.C.
So that tells you yeah.
It's like when you're out here in Hollywood and you're out here in California and you're in LA, you run the types of like, okay, you're Hollywood types.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're talking about like what movies you've seen, the people you've seen that you've talked to. It's like you get the type. It's like, okay, I know what you're about.
Yeah.
I don't even have to talk 1 second to you. I'm just listening to you and like figure out what you're about. If I've never been to New York and I was around Wall Street, some people talk about like stock portfolios and business interests and all this stuff and gains and all that. It's like just like okay, connected to that for sure.
Yeah. These are school kids.
If they weren't in school, they're like young. They're young adults for sure.
College level.
It's hard to tell. Like they could have been like early 30s, so it's like they could still have been relative interns.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They weren't older folks. They were younger than me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 of them, mostly dudes.
Damn, the indoctrination.
White.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The indoctrination's strong, man.
These are the people who operate in Washington, D.C. So when Bernie Sanders comes through and like the people Bernie represents come through, they're just like, this. That's how they view us. It's like, they're not serious people. They talk about Medicare for all. Do that. That's silly.
Pipe dreams, right?
Unicorns, fairy dust.
Mm-hmm. That sucks, man. We're so conditioned that way. And I
They're the
don't,
ones who took the jobs. They're the ones who got that education. They're the ones who got in. Like Silicon Valley, tech bros. Oh my God, tech people are a whole other different beast. These MIT, Ivy League fucking kids.
oh, those guys, I don't know. I went to vocational school. So,
A lot of them. And the same thing. It's like a different culture. It's like what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable.
mm-hmm.
So we like find a way to bridge those divides between like similar class interests. And
Yeah, honestly, we need to stop teaching that money's God, man.
absolutely.
Like that, I think that has to start in grade school.
That's
That
why I said we
actually,
never stop telling people not to share.
yeah, true. And what I think was a complete failure of economics class is the fact that I don't recall them ever really bringing up class or class structure or how economics affects class structure in my high school economics class.
Definitely not the latter. If they do mention class, it's just to mention it, but not
Yeah, I don't
as
think
a
I've
like.
ever. Yeah, like yeah, because I mean, what you're talking about here, younger, you're only a few years older than me, so I mean, we're not too far apart. And I mean, I have some younger colleagues. They're definitely gung ho, and unfortunately, we're talking about young 20-something company people, right? Like, it seems weird that a company person exists in 2020. Or does it seem weird? I don't know. It just seems like a very antiquated idea to me. Like, I've never really had a loyalty to a company because, they'll at will let you go.
There's a in the 90s that may not have been a thing in the aughts. Like if you notice, like a lot of like late 80s, early and 90s cartoon shows are very like anti-corporate. Like a lot of the villains in those cartoon
Yeah.
shows were all corporate people. Captain Planet,
Mm-hmm.
Gargoyles, The Simpsons. All the bad guys were like corporate CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I noticed in cartoons that's not a thing in the aughts, where like you don't see like big business, evil bad guy, money hoarding dude. I mean, the only counter to that is like Scrooge McDuck.
I was just thinking about him right now.
He's the protagonist, but he's not always right, but he's a protagonist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe that generation or that part is not skeptical enough about like corporate power and CEOs. But I've always told people like, dude, there's no company loyalty. They're not loyal to you. You should not be loyal to them.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Learn that they don't. It's going to be an awakening.
Dang. So, I mean, dang, we need to touch on that sometime. But I never really noticed that about the cartoons. I wonder if that was by design.
I think so. I think it's like the mood of the time. Because think about it. If the 90s would have been a reaction to the 80s. In the 80s, a lot of like greed is good stuff started to happen.
Materialism and. Mm-hmm.
And then it just became very obvious like, oh, these guys are kind of shit. And like the people who make cartoons are usually going to be a little bit modern or modernist or so sneaking shit in that way. But I to the 80s politics.
Which is weird because I do sort of recall like this era of rebellion, and especially in like TV ads and things like that for Gen Xers. And, kind of aside from them like trying to really find their voice, it seemed like they were rejecting the idea of falling in line with like corporate interests and things like that. But it seems
that's
like
definitely Gen X mentality.
But where did
I like Gen Xers?
But where did that fall? Because it seems like there was a fire and then nothing happened. Nothing happened.
When you're rejecting all and you reject communal aspects of society as well.
Sorry,
So
you're
when
saying it's a bit nihilistic in their approach? I'm
totally.
sorry. Okay, got you.
Because you also say fuck off to like the big greedy corporation, but you're also fucked up. You're saying fuck off to the hippies. You're saying let's all live together and share shit.
Hmm. There, hmm. I feel like there's a shift at some point though, because you don't really see that attitude now. Like just everybody's just kind of going with the system.
And like a system can be bad or good, and like in Gen X and Tau, these just they want no systems. It was a bit of anarchy, obviously, but like
Well, yeah, no system's not gonna happen.
some systems gonna exist somewhere. Some people.
So I'd say it sounds to me, kind of through your analysis, that maybe Gen X was not focused, and maybe that's where we kind of fell behind here.
That's when the boomers had to kind of like hold on to the reins, even the fine. Like they didn't want to give it up to Gen Xers. Ours weren't taking it, so they on to the fucking crypt. I can't tell. It's kind of a what came first, the chicken or the egg scenario.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Seriously.
Sorry, you just gave me a lot to think about, to think on right now. Yeah, because like I said, I just saw. Just kind of reiterating. Yeah, there's a lot of that fire, but yeah. I think if it would have been focused, yeah, we could have got some stuff done.
At least we'd be in a better position.
Yeah, I think we'd be in a better position.
Because imagine this. Imagine having to explain, like, marijuana usage, open relationships, gay relationships, the video games, with a Gen Xer, have a person conversation with a boomer.
Well, they won't know what you're talking about, and half of that is a sin.
But with a Gen Xer, you can talk about video games.
No. But you say you can't with the boomer.
But you're right. Exactly. That's why I was agreeing with you. Like a boomer would just be like, no to all of that, and just like what all that. It's like it's a sin. And but a Gen Xer is like, yeah, let's smoke some weed. Yeah, trans people, yeah, gay marriage, yeah. Just like
just to stick it to the generation before.
A bit more about like destabilizing the capitalistic interest. Like it depends on but it's like again more addressable versus like complete no.
Excuse me. Yeah.
I'm not saying that there aren't boomers who are super cool with all that stuff, and it's not saying that there's Gen Xers who don't want any of that stuff too, because there's plenty of Gen Xers who are,
I'm gonna try to get some more, excuse me, insight into that from some Gen Xers. I work with a few, so.
And ask them about like their political.
Yeah, I will, because
political history.
No, I will, because no, but you know what? I think exactly what you explained falls in line with sort of what happened. Because I always say that the boomers were sort of lulled into complacency, and the Gen Xers were kind of, I won't say they were beaten into conformity. What's the word I'm looking at here? Indoctrinated into conformity. I feel that way, but even though I mean that whole generation kind of stems from a movement of resistance, I think what I don't know. Once again, I feel like maybe they were a little unfocused in what to do with that anger. But I feel like they eventually fell victim to that same materialism and stuff that they were sort of rebelling against. Like, I don't know, at some that there was some point there where just they didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Well, in part, yeah.
And I'll say that's been the biggest factor because with people I've been talking to, just like at work, and not just at work. I understand some people don't want to talk about these things at work, but just that generation of people are just guys, maybe just a couple older than a couple of years older than me, so about around your age. Just they don't want to be bothered. Like, you bring it up and eyes glaze over, and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I kind of hate my part. Technically a millennial, though I sometimes feel like I hate that part of my generation specifically. I know a lot of people like that too. They're just like, even when I was a kid, I was into politics, and I felt like I've always been like screaming into a void, and just no one listening.
Yeah, but it's like, don't come bitch at me about how I complain about not having decent pay and stuff like that, but I'm not like, just no, I'm not gonna I don't even want to bother with it. Well, how do you expect it to change if you won't even take any action whatsoever? Be concerned the slightest bit,
They got all the complaints, but they got none of the action to actually change, because within that generation's action was to check out everything. Doesn't mean the problems don't go away. It's just
Dang. Hey, well, I would like to continue to talk about this generation thing.
that's next time.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there. Wow. Yeah, because, and once again, like I said, I reserved a lot of anger towards the boomer generation, but I feel like at the same time, a lot of that is undue. Yeah. I mean, we were at a weird place.
That's also why the boomers get defensive, because they're like, well, no one else was doing it, so I had to do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, parents just come out of war. I mean, country's doing fine, I guess, like economically, but I'm actually wondering, because back in the day, like, you really didn't talk about your personal affairs. I'm wondering how much of that contributed to sort of the boomers just kind of being lulled into complacency, they didn't have any immediate threats at the time.
Well, they had the Cold War scare.
Cold War, yeah, but it wasn't really tangible, right? Like,
it was for them.
No, okay.
Seriously, that's why they have
I get the drills. Yeah.
Right now.
Huh?
They have such an aversion to communism. Socialism, because it's like, oh, it's like communism. But, like, yeah, that's a thing for them, and they've lived under it for like 30 years. Now, what they lived under was propaganda, capitalist propaganda, but, like, still, they're brainwashed under that.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, because you can see some of it today in some of the people's, and some people's reasons why they're supporting people like Biden, for instance. So Cold War happens, and then we move into the mid '60s.
Cold War happened almost immediately after World War II.
Mm-hmm. But like, so the boomers are born going into the 60s and 70s. Like, that wasn't really a threat anymore,
80s.
Or 80s? That's when
80s the Cold War ended.
Oh, wow. Officially, yeah.
Reagan and Gorbachev.
That's right.
The East,
tear this wall down.
East and West Germany, That was the 80s. So when 80s, we won the war, quote unquote, which is why That's all boomer adulthood
Yeah,
and childhood. And then Gen X is like right after that. But Gen Xers were around when the Cold War went down, so they remember that as children. So they didn't have anything to really worry about. Neither did we until 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the 80s and all the 90s were just living. Talked about anything else.
That's true. No, I want to dive into that more because I am really trying to kind of pinpoint the point in like there's just a point nothing happened. It seems like there's just nothing happened.
I'd say that's definitely mid to late 80s through the 90s.
Mid late 80s to the 90s. Okay, yeah.
I mean, a lot of bad shit was happening, but it's like America was basically an alpha predator.
All right. Well,
we had no threats to us. We had no real legitimate threats to our fucking dominance.
Mm-hmm.
Apex predator, that's what it is.
Okay, so yeah, that supports my theory then. Like, yeah, everything seems to go back to like the mid 70s. Seriously, mid 70s and around Reagan's administration, and then, I mean that's when things really just start to go to shit.
So you can look at like how technology advanced too, because like that was the era when we got like the internet boom and just modern technology, and we just got so far. Briefly, we weren't doing anything about our infrastructure, but like.
I can see the kind of distraction and infatuation with that. We did have a lot of new gadgets and inventions arise out of that time. A lot.
Of course, the rest of the world was going to eventually get it too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get surprised that they get it as well. And because we sold it to you. We sold it to them.
Right. Yeah.
Also, we didn't keep our manufacturing, so we became a consumer society. So all that shit.
Yeah, we've become beggars. It sucks. God dang, give away all your power. Capitalism is retarded. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the power of workers, the power of actually having an industrial base or just produce things, like mask for a pandemic.
No, I know, which we could have been developing here for decades, and yeah.
Food.
And then my thing is, you can't be the biggest bully in the world and be in the position in which you have to rely on other people's the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, total isolate a problem just as much as like completely putting everything away and being like basically. This is the way I describe America now. It's like we thought we were just going to be the people on top of the plantation with the rest of the world as our slaves.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to work. That's immoral and bad.
Yeah, because I mean, other people have to say they have something to say for that, like no.
I always found it. I learned about this even when I was in elementary school, so it's 30 years ago almost. That America uses 20% of the world's resources and has like 5% of the world's population.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I'm just like, why can't we at least get down to 10% of the world using
capitalism?
That's
because you have to produce more than what's needed and then throw it all away.
That alone was like one of the grossest statistics I ever heard. Like, and growing too. I'm sure we may have gotten more than that. Like, we probably got 5 to 30% of the world's resources at some point.
Yes.
Should have seen that imbalance. Like, oh, that's a hideous problem. Let's push that down.
No, and it's infuriating to see how much of that is just goes into the landfill,
And then even at that time, it's like, well, China's trying to catch up with America. It was like, if they do what we do with a greater population, using like more or like proportional 15% more of the resource as a species.
And mind you, I mean they are. Aren't their advancements usually before ours anyway? The Chinese technology.
No, not all the time, obviously.
Well, not all the time, but I mean typically, no. Or do I need to attribute that more to Japan?
I think they just have like a way to structure society where they can make like tremendous leaps and bounds. Here's the thing, like even my buddy.
You mean capitalism isn't stopping progress?
Right. Here's what my buddy knows. He worked in China for like a year or two, and he pointed this out, and it's why they got on top of the COVID-19 thing so quickly. That like, the way he was describing it is that like because of like their communistic roots, really recent communistic roots, it's a more or less capitalist society now, but there's like a stronger identity within a community.
Yeah.
So what happens there, like let's say there's a bridge falls, or like there's immediate social need, everything shuts down, and the government can enact, even local governments can enact like total control very quickly and very, very fast. It's like, oh, let's have a debate, and like some people are going to complain like, you can't do that, you're taking away my rights. No. Oh, this is a problem, we deal with it immediately, and you get no say so one way or another. This is the greater good type of thing.
Not bad when it comes to living wage or Medicare or
healthcare. It definitely has its advantages, but of course, it's military, and ideally, and a very few people. That's the problem. Now I don't know how democratic their officials are treated. Like if they get to actually like have a big say so on the people who make these decisions. That they may have, like representation. So let's say if one of those people really fucks up, I don't know what the societal redress is for that. If it's a government that moves quickly and is actually representative, then looks out for people and does general social community, I'm like, cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they're China's government's a little more adversarial than that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I wanted to be diplomatic about the way I said that. Okay. Yeah, but I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. We definitely like to, like I said, kind of unpack a lot of that generational stuff with you again and kind of do a deep dive. Because, that's just one thing that just perplexed me, especially over the past few months. Just like kind of trying to pinpoint when exactly did the inaction become a problem? I'll put it that way. Because somebody fell asleep at some point.
Somebody fell asleep at some point. I was like, it's probably me.
Oh, got you. All right. Yeah, you're breaking up real bad. No, but I'll go ahead and call this. Is there anything that you wanted to say before we?
Okay. I said enough. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So that was Brian Newton, and he's our political consultant, and has a lot to add to the conversation here. So definitely check back in with us for another session here. This was the Quad, the main show for the People's Class podcast. And you all have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to another session of the People Class podcast, the official podcast of the People Class. I hope you found the information shared in today's session enlightening, or at the very least, raise some questions. I extend an invitation to join us for more weekly sessions. And remember, our work does not stop here. Get active, organize, and take control over your destiny as an American working class person. Class dismissed.